Hey everybody. Okay, I think we are live. Hopefully everything's working. Had some glitches earlier trying to work out some bugs. So hopefully this is going to work, but we're going to give it a go anyways and move forward. So first, I just wanted to introduce myself to people that may not know me. Some of you watching probably know me, know what I do. But my name is Patrick Muley, and I am a post-divorce and breakup health and vitality coach. I've been doing personal training since about 2012. Got into health coaching and transformational coaching around 2018, and have recently settled into working with men post divorce, post breakup after a long term relationship, um, and focusing on health, nutrition, and personal development. Um, Moving forward from that stage of life. I'm not going to go into a huge story about myself, but um, I myself, the reason why that's near and dear to my heart is because when about 2017, I lost my father to heart disease, diabetes, um, and found myself divorced the same year after a 22-year relationship. So um, I decided that it was really important for me to help this group of guys who's maybe struggling through the same things. Maybe they have families, maybe they don't, but just to give them a resource to know that someone's there to support them, someone who has gone through a lot of the challenges they've gone through is here and able to help them through this. So this is basically my first live Q&A that I've done. The first live I've done in a while, but what I'm trying to do is kind of structure this as a Q&A, a weekly Q&A, where I'm going to be going live every Monday at noon is my goal going forward. Today's a little different. It's the first one, but I'd rather show up than not show up. So I'm here and just want to talk about a couple resources that I will link below in the comments later on after the live, so you can grab those if you're interested in a couple of the things that I have going on before we get into answering a couple of questions. Um, so the first resources I have is a brand new free Facebook group that I created. I've searched online for there's a lot of divorce groups out there. There's a lot of groups that focus on um, 40s, 50s, um, older generation, health and fitness over 40, all that. But I really struggled to find a group that focused on specifically on post divorce, post breakup, and had a health and fitness and personal development all tied together. So hopefully this is a really unique opportunity for me and for people in that category to find this specific resource. Um, and I'm going to talk a little bit about who who's a good fit for this, the type of clients I'm looking to work with, type of clients maybe not quite yet. So you guys can be clear where I'm at. So the other free resource I have is a free habit change guide that you can download. I'll also link to that later, so you can check it out. I'm not going to talk in detail about this stuff, but um, I will certainly provide that later. So as far as the Q&A goes, what I'm looking to do is I'll be posting throughout my social media channels throughout the week, leading up to the following Monday, kind of with the subject and the topic of what I want to kind of focus on. So people can submit their questions to me in multiple ways uh, around that topic. Because what I want to try to do is not be all over the place and all random every week. I want to try to keep it to a certain topic, and but as I get inquiries and posts and questions on my social media channel, certainly uh, can veer off on the topics that I have planned if I find a trend or uh, getting asked the same questions of important topics. Because at the end of the day, this is about you, and I want to bring the value. But for now, I'm going to be talking about a lot of the common things that I get asked currently that I think that are important to address. So that being said, some of the things we're going to talk about today, the topic of the day, actually, with that said, is how to reset your life after divorce or breakup, right? because you have to start somewhere. And sometimes, how many people here have asked, I just, or said to themselves, I just need to hit the reset button, right? So it can feel like you just need a reset. You don't know where you are, you don't know where you're headed. You're stuck, not sure where to turn. So I want to try to address some of these things today. We're going to answer just a basic couple common questions that I get, some of the big ones, and hopefully offer some tips and some value uh, that you can take with you and find some motivation to move forward in this next chapter. Um, so, with that said, um, the question I want to focus on today is um, I feel lost and overwhelmed. How do I move forward with confidence? How do I find the motivation to start over again? Right. So it's such a common question. It's a big one because after a divorce or breakup, a lot of guys are feeling, they're having feelings of like loneliness, anger, bitterness, resentment. Um, and it's important to work through those things. And I also, just before I go any further, I want to be clear that I'm looking to work with men that are not maybe necessarily going through a divorce, right? Or like a month later, that they're still in the acute stages of um, the heightened emotions that they're dealing with, right? Or the legal battle still going on, or stuff with the kids and things like that. Like, I really highly recommend, before you start looking at maybe just like a general like health coach or fitness or something like that, although you do need to focus on your health and self-care. It's important, but at the beginning stages, I highly recommend working maybe with a mental health counselor or somebody who could really help you through those initial stages. All right. And I tend to work with guys who are at the point where, okay, like the legal stuff is behind them. They're living on their own. Maybe they're just struggling to day to day to their healthcare, with their exercise, with their movement, things like that. But they're at the stage where all the heavy stuff's kind of past them, but they're left picking up the pieces, right? Where they realize that they need to get up and dust themselves off and move forward, and they know something needs to change. Like, they're feeling it now. It's like, I need to do something, right? That's the stage where I kind of come in um, and help them with that. So I just want to be clear who I'm working with. I'm not a mental health counselor. I'm not like a licensed therapist or anything like that. But I do work on habit change, fitness, nutrition, when you're ready for that. So, um, because we want you to work towards, we want guys work towards, living a peaceful life, gaining their confidence back, feeling optimistic and hopeful, and feeling worthy again, like worthy of a better future. Sometimes we struggle with feelings of unworthiness, um, lots of stuff going on, but there's lots of things that we can do to overcome that and gain that motivation back and gain that momentum back, moving towards a better life. So, to answer that question, how do I move forward with confidence, and how do I find the motivation to start over again, right? So, the very first thing that someone needs to do, that I recommend, is, and it's essential actually, is deciding what you want. All right. So often guys focus on what they don't want, right? They don't want to keep gaining weight. They don't want to lack energy. They don't want to do this, or they don't want to do that, right? But the problem is focusing on what you don't want. And we work with this in coaching too. It's called reframing, right? Is figuring out what you want, because when you focus on what you don't want, you tend to get more of what you don't want. That's where the focus and the energy goes, right? So when we focus on what we want, we have something positive to work towards. Now, the one thing I will say to that is that it can be helpful and it can be productive to certainly list the things that you don't want, okay, but only as a means to help you determine what you do want. So, for instance, if you were to say, "Oh, I don't want to keep gaining weight," right? Maybe you don't know what to do. You're not eating right. You don't know how how to control that and control your weight in a healthy way, you would say, I don't want to keep gaining weight, right? Well, how do we put a positive reframe on that? Okay. I want to lose weight. I want to lose 25 pounds. I want to, be lighter. That those are positive things that you can work towards in a much better focus, right? So it's the first thing I would say is deciding what you want and why you want it. The why is probably equally, if not more important than what you want, because that's what's going to keep you going, right? That's going to be your your North Star, right? Um, and we can't have, or we should think about more important whys, like deeper whys, right? Not the surface stuff, not, oh, well, I want to lose weight for a class reunion or a vacation that I'm going on. It's temporal, right? It's going to come and it's going to go, right? But focusing on deeper things like I want to have my confidence back. I want to simply have more energy. I want to feel better. You know, I want to be a good example for my kids. Um, Things like that. Why is it you're more emotionally connected to are going to carry you on uh, much further and be way more sustainable. Um, the other thing is confidence. I say I just want my confidence back. Well, the tricky thing about confidence is that you don't just wake up one day with confidence, right? Confidence is built, and it's built through action. You have to take action, even small little steps, right? One small little action can lead to being just that slightly bit more confident in an area that leads to more action steps, to more confidence. And, that's hopefully an upward spiral. So, just thinking about that, building confidence through action, right? And that's something, we work on with creating an action plan and action steps and accountability. Um, this is a big one, is learning to enjoy your own company, right? There's a difference. There's two things I want to focus on and talk about, and the difference between isolation and solitude, right? They may sound like the same thing, like they both require you being alone to an extent, but there's a huge difference between isolation and solitude. What you don't want to do at this stage is isolate yourself, because isolation is more like cutting yourself off, right? Not allowing things in, right? Hiding um, out of fear or rejection or whatever you might be going through, right? Where solitude is essential. So you want to have a healthy balance between like solitude and social activity, which I'll touch upon. But um, a healthy solitude, like solitude in a healthy way, is giving yourself time to be alone for self-reflection. All right. Self-development, walking in the woods. Nature is wonderful. Allows you to reflect. There's no um, distractions. And I don't mean walking in the woods or in nature watching YouTube, or even listening to a podcast. I mean, I recommend silence, like silence is solitude. The problem is, a lot of times when we shut the noise off, the only thing we have to listen to is our own thoughts in our own heart, right? And that can be really hard, right? But it's essential to personal growth to be able to self-reflect and think about the things that you need to work on. When you're in silence and you have no distractions, you'd be surprised what comes up. um, if you allow it to come up, your consciousness will come to you. Things will come through your consciousness that you realize that you need to work on. Truths will emerge. But if you're constantly distracting yourself with noise, it's counterproductive to moving forward. So that's a really, really important one to talk about. And that could be a whole other topic by itself, but I'm just talking about, generally things that are important to move forward. So difference between isolation, solitude: don't isolate, don't hide, don't cut people out, but take time to be alone and work on yourself in a productive way. um, Reconnect with old friends. A support system at this time is really important. So maybe, lean on some family members that you trust, and that you can openly talk to, about your feelings and emotions. It's really important to have somebody that can listen to you that you trust. Reaching out to old friends could be great because, you ever have that friend who you've known for years, maybe you don't talk that much at all, maybe you haven't talked to them in years, but when you get on the phone with them, you've known each other for so long that it's almost like you picked up right where you left off. I have a couple of friends like that. They're childhood friends. I maybe talk to every few months, but when I do, it's like just like old times, and that could be really reinvigorating to your spirit. Um, they could support you. Get involved in an organization, right? Perhaps with other guys who are in a stage where they're struggling with divorce, or um, you know, so you're part of this, like, a camaraderie. I go to a men's group every Saturday morning where I met some great guys, built some new friendships, and it's really important. Although I'm back in a long-term relationship, it's something that it's important to do so that you're not hiding and you're getting out there and you're creating some social activity. Um, but that's a really good one. So those are just a few of the things that I would recommend um, to get motivated to get started. Obviously, like, I highly recommend reaching out to a coach. That's why I'm here. I'm here to help. I hope that you found some value here. And obviously, I can't answer all the questions. This is just really a platform for discussing some weekly topics. And I certainly hope that you'll engage further through my Facebook group, which you can join. Um, and it's called Stronger After Divorce for Men. I'll link to that below after this live. Um, Eventually, I'd like to see more questions submitted, and we can, answer more questions in a higher volume. But right now, I just want to add some other things to talk about and kind of set the stage for what we're going to be doing going forward. So I don't want these to be too long either. I want to keep them fairly concise, and hopefully my goal is to get people into the men's free men's group so we can engage in conversation. That's going to be more for a platform of just asking questions pretty much about anything and engaging and building camaraderie with some other guys. And I just also, if for anybody listening to this who might be saying, well, I was divorced, or I was, but now I'm back in a relationship. Is that okay? Can I still join, or thinking this is not for you? I'd actually really encourage you guys and invite you in. If you're back in a healthy, happy relationship and you were divorced at one time, or, broken up after a long-term relationship, and you have some value to give, you're really welcome in that group too. I actually want you there because, we're all at different stages in our journey, right? And there's some guys that are in the early stages, and there's some of us who have gone through the thick of it, and we've come out healthier and happier on the other side, and we have some value to give, and um, some encouragement and words of wisdom. I'd really encourage you to join the group as well. I'd love to have you there. So again, that's called Stronger After Divorce for Men. Also, if you're looking to just for a little jump start, please grab my free habit guide. It's called From Breakup to Breakthrough. And you can grab that right on my website, okay, which you're going to find below the ticker, www.f3healthcoach.com. You can find that there, so take a screenshot of that if you like. Jump over to my website, check it out. I have a full video, a little bit more detail about my history and who I work with and how I help them. Also, I'd love for you to follow me on Instagram at F3 Health Coaching, and check out that. I'm going to be more active on there. Hopefully, some of these, I'm not really sure if this live is going there now. It was meant to. I'm still trying to work out some of these technical issues so I can stream to multiple channels and reach more of my audience where they are. So working out the kinks. I'm going to check that out later and see. Not quite streaming to LinkedIn yet, but I will be shortly. So other than that, I just want to wrap it up, and I don't want to take too much of your time, but I really appreciate you being here. And I just want to leave you off with one question to kind of ask, maybe give you some kind of direction to go this week. So, what's one goal I can get excited about right now? Like, just create a goal. Think of something. It can be really small, right? And what's one step I can take in the next 24 to 48 hours to move towards this goal? Okay. It could be really simple. For example, just go for a 20-minute walk. It could be, read something, start picking up a book and reading something positive, putting positive things and encouragement into your head and your heart. Um, or it could be, I'm going to cook my own healthy meal um, instead of going out to eat. One little step that you know is going to move you in the right direction and get you on a better path. So I want to thank you for being here. I look forward to lives in the future every Monday at noon. Make sure you tune in, and I will see you all next week. Thank you.